sponsored by Riverside.
Welcome to the next episode of the World's Beautiful Game podcast. We're on
Yo,
episode
yo.
2, season 3. How you doing, Will? What's going on, man?
Pretty good, pretty good. Ready, I guess, for the Premier League to start and see what happens with these guys, with the teams.
Heck yeah, we're on the eve of the Premier League as we are recording this on a Wednesday with the Premier League starting on Friday. So super excited, obviously, as Premier League aficionados, people who run a Premier League fantasy league as well. We're in several of them. We have one for the podcast specifically that we'll kind of share at the end of the podcast. But looking forward to the start of another season. A lot going on. Obviously, we had to start the season, and we'll kind of talk to what we'll be talking to this episode. So, Community Shield, which is the game prior to the start of the season. We're going to go through some of the changes with teams, signings, people leaving, injuries. We're also going to talk about our predictions for the Premier League as where we'll think teams will end up. And then just to cap it off, like I mentioned, our Premier League fantasy league that we're trying to run for the podcast. Looks like we got some people to join. I've been kind of going hard on Threads trying to get people to just join in and get us to follow. So make sure you follow, subscribe to us on YouTube, on Spotify, I think on iHeartRadio. I think we're on there as well. And obviously on our Instagram page or TikTok page, we're trying to get those up and going. So if you follow the pod, if you listen to the pod, make sure you get on those and like us as well. Share us with your friends, whoever you're doing, or
10
whoever's
people.
listening to as well. Yeah, we got a good amount of people.
Yeah, 10 right now, yeah.
Excited to see where this goes. But let's start things off. Crazy game to start off. A little bit interesting. Arsenal obviously coming off of what they did at the end of last season, taking down City 3-0. To win their first trophy of the season. As we all know, this is kind of like a just
No.
We're yeah, okay.
When we win the Community Shield, we get excited, so we can now play it down.
That's fair. So let's see.
And it was a solid opponent, so you can't say it was like playing a team that's already ready for relegation. So, you know what I mean?
What's going on here?
Hello, it's just me. I don't know what happened.
What happened there? Apologies. Anyway, so Arsenal dominated, obviously getting a goal 30 seconds into the match. I mean, from what we expect from a City team, obviously it was a bit more one-sided than we expected with the next Pep coming in with Enzo Maresca, obviously. So how did you see the game? I mean, you obviously have your thoughts there on what you saw.
Yeah, I don't think it was. The score suggests domination, but the first half was back and forth. It was back and forth. It's just City, weird enough to say City just didn't look threatening going forward, which makes no sense because obviously that's probably their biggest asset, strength asset. They just they didn't look like they couldn't finish. Haaland really didn't get any good shots on goal. I mean, it's definitely no. You got to give Arsenal kudos defensively because they've been great defensively and they still look it
even without Saliba.
Yeah, Gabriel was Ben White. I mean, Ben White played well. He played well in the World Cup. It looks like he carried that from when he did come in.
Did he play the World Cup?
Didn't he come in?
No, Ben White wasn't on the team.
No,
he didn't play the World Cup.
No, who's the big dude that was in England that kept coming in
for defensively?
Yeah, wasn't there a big dude that was like 6'7"? What the fuck is his name?
Oh, that's Dan Burn from Newcastle.
Oh, whoops. Yep, never mind. So, anyways, well, okay, maybe he didn't bring in from there, but he looked good. He looked solid, and Gabriel was actually he was very emotional throughout the game. Pretty much any tackle, anything he was going through, he looked like he was
riding that high from last season.
That or just mid-season form.
Pain of the World Cup.
For sure, but they were definitely not giving anything to City, and if City weren't taking this seriously, then it's pretty dumb because they have a new coach. I think they have a lot more to prove now that Pep is gone. It's going to be like, okay, was the City team good without Pep, or are they just good a good team, or did Pep make the difference? So I think Arsenal took it to them. Yeah, absolutely. They were on their P's and Q's, and they were not missing any opportunity. Calafiori looked good going forward a lot.
I mean,
He was,
he's looked good going forward
yeah,
in the previous season for Arsenal. I think some of his issues are more defensively. He's not.
he's
I
more
think
of a, yeah, go
his
forward
strength
and
is better going forward than
yeah,
his actual position, of course.
yeah,
But I mean, which is weird to say for an Italian because
hmm,
that's where their strength lies. So
yeah.
he's a big boy though, Calafiori. So when he goes up the field, it's dangerous, man.
Well, that first goal. I mean, not even 30 seconds in, 20 seconds in. That's and City just looked terrible defensively. Guardiola looked bad. What's the kid from Kazakhstan? I believe he is. Is that where he's
Kuzanov,
from? Yeah, he
Kuzanov.
looked terrible.
I
Um,
think it's Kuzanov. I think it's right.
yeah, Foden looked okay. I mean, other than that, they didn't really look. They didn't look good. They just looked like they didn't care. And if that's the attitude they're going to have, they're going to be in for a long season and a new coach. So,
Interesting, right? Because Enzo Maresca was like a hot commodity. Like when he left Chelsea,
hmm,
he was basically the anointed successor to Pep because it's almost like it was people knew that Pep was leaving. I wonder if he kind of had a tap on the shoulder from Pep to be like, "Hey, man, take over this project. I know you can do it." Since he does come from that Pep Guardiola tree, you expect to see something more, at least uh, from an analytics point of view or from tactics point of view, right? Something similar to what Pep did because obviously they kind of are all on the same boat there. So surprising to see the result 3-0. At the same time, again, it is the Community Shield. I'm not downplaying it to the extent that it doesn't matter, but it's almost like the season really hasn't started. That does start this weekend, but I think for their fans it sucks because I'm already seeing on social media like is this the dip after Sir Alex Ferguson left United? Like is this where it's coming from? Is this what's coming for City?
I hope so. So
Obviously
all
the
those
hundred
plastic fans, their
uh,
30 fans, can
and
leave and
the
go
and the
stay quiet.
115 charges still looming, which looks like it's going to probably come to nothing, or maybe it's going to come down to quite
Now
a
that Pep
bit
is gone. Yeah.
now that Pep is not there. So a lot, there's a lot to say, but also not because it's like a weird game. It's kind of an exhibition. It is supposed to. It's still a competitive one where you're kind of trying to get up to speed because the season is in the forefront here, of course. But crazy to see them go down 3-0. It was a
Yeah.
surprising result based
Hey,
on who's on the other team.
a trophy's a trophy. And if you already have one to start the season, hey, that's more than
I
you can
mean,
say
it's great
about
for
anybody else.
Arsenal.
So,
Great for Arsenal. Just a
and like I
bad
said, yeah.
bad start for City, of course.
Oh yeah, terrible start for City. Like I said, this is how they're going to play. They're going to be in for a long season. Um, but yeah, Arsenal looked every bit ready and comfortable, and I just hate seeing Guimaraes in that jersey.
Yeah, we'll talk to that as I don't think I had it in the notes, but I forgot to put that one in there.
Yeah,
But yeah, we'll get there
yeah,
because Newcastle got cooked this offseason. So with that said, we'll jump. We'll talk real quick as another addition to Arsenal on top of Guimaraes is Konsa got signed, which is a very
just
interesting
signed.
move
Yeah,
because Saliba is out obviously for Arsenal, and that's going to be a big move for that team, getting more depth. Obviously, team is playing in 4 competitions this season. Good signing, I would say, for them to play alongside of Gabriel because with Saliba out, I think kudos to them for getting another good player to come in. He looked great. He
well,
get decent
Ben
for the World
White,
Cup.
the him,
Yeah, Calafiori
Consa. Yeah,
obviously,
so
Konsa. And then when
so
Saliba comes back, is this good for Konsa though? Like that's the
that's
one
exactly
question
what I
that
was gonna say. Is that
yeah.
that's a good move for him because he was starting for a quality team, or I mean, and now he moved to a big team. Okay, cool, good move for you. But is that going to pay out? Because when Saliba comes back, you know he's going to be starting. There's no doubt in my mind that Saliba doesn't come back to take his position back. So and Gabriel's not going to go anywhere. So where does that leave Kansa? They're going to push him to the outside, and then at that point, then okay, then Ben White the same thing. Where's he going to play? And then Calafiori, I'm pretty sure. I don't think he's going to get benched too, because I think going forward he's just too much of a threat. I know, like you said, defensively he is, he's questionable, but I think they can handle enough with um, with Declan Rice in the middle being able to cover in as well. So I don't know if it was a good move for Konsa. It's a good move for Arsenal, and they're going to have a lot of players to be able to rotate for. I'm sure they're going to have a very busy season because they have every single tournament. So if they go far and everything,
60 games last year.
I
Yeah.
mean, obviously the final against PSG, I think maybe that hurt them, and they're like, hey, we didn't have enough guys left because we were tired. We know, we played a lot of guys in the season. We didn't have the rotation, so maybe, that could be it.
Not just him, like you mentioned, Bruno Guimaraes obviously being signed to this team to play alongside Declan Rice, I'm assuming.
Mhm.
Which also, what does that mean for Zubimendi? Is he going to leave for Arsenal? I mean, for Real Madrid? Because now that's another wrinkle you throw in there, right? You're talking about bringing in players because you want to strengthen your squad, but you're also now making moves that are going to cause some of these players to become disgruntled. Does that have impact
And
negatively?
also,
or does it positively impact and create more like I want to make sure that I win that position? Like the way the Sir Alex teams were back in the day.
Yeah,
They have
and
so
then
much quality.
also, who's this is Zubimendi? No, the put for super sub for Spain.
Merino.
Yeah. Merino. Yeah, what does that mean for him?
But what I will say for Merino has been a non-starter for this team. He was a super sub, and I don't think that changes much for him because he still.
But that's another midfielder that you're throwing in there, and then at that point, it's just like, okay, if I'm bringing in somebody, that's going to leave him out as an option because it's another player that you use. So if you're pretty much tactically looking, it's like, okay, well, you might sit the bench more now. Do you want to do that? I think he made at least a good run and a good enough to say, hey, I should be a starter. And if Arsenal's not going to start him, when who comes in for him?
Because he's still sitting behind Havertz and Gyökeres up top, and obviously Saka's not losing his spot on the wing unless and then Odegaard obviously in the midfield. Martinelli on the left, where we thought Vinicius was going to come in, and that didn't happen for them. Arsenal did have a lot of interesting situations occur to them where they thought they were going to get some big players that didn't come to them. Is that more? Would that have caused more chaos in what's already chaos with what's coming in? Because Arsenal as a club, it makes sense for them to make moves to add people because they need it, especially with Declan Rice having played also all the games of the World Cup up until that third place game. So he had like 65 games plus under his legs. He's going to need some rest. Like, look at what PSG did with their players, right? Dembele only played like 15 games. Vitinha, Kvaratskhelia, all those players. PSG, I think, did something really crazy. Obviously, in their league, they can do that because it's not as strong as the Premier League, where you're each week is a battle to make sure you don't get left behind. Can Arsenal now take that same approach with these players that they've brought on?
You would hope so. I'm pretty sure the coach, I'm sure, spoke to these players and let them know what the deal was. Not like, hey, I'm not going to tell you you're going to come in here and get big minutes or be a starter, and then you don't wind up doing it. I'm pretty sure they have that conversation and say, hey, like this is what I'm planning. This is what I have expected. You're going to be a rotational player. You're going to get your minutes. There's going to be games that you're not. I want to know if you're willing to do that, if you want to do that. And maybe that's what happened with the big signings. Other than obviously Vinny was never going to go. I'm sure it was just kind of like hey, they're just playing chess and seeing who was going to fold for Real Madrid as far as the contract talks. He was never going to leave. It doesn't make sense for him to go to United, for him to go to Arsenal when you're at the biggest club in the world as far as history and just anything goes. Anybody wants to go. Everybody wants to be a Galactico. Well, I wouldn't call them Galacticos anymore, but a merengue. Just with everything there. So I don't think he was going to leave, but I think, again, he had the conversations with certain players, and the other players that possibly could have gone there, he probably had that conversation, and he let them know, and they're probably like, I'm not willing to take a back seat. I want to be a starter. I want to be prolific. I want to be one of the main guys, and you're not going to do that in Arsenal right now. You're really not going to take anybody's position. I don't think Martinelli, other than Martinelli, I don't think he's that good. At least he's not bad. But
I think he's kind of hit it. It seems like he's hit a ceiling.
Yeah, he hasn't shown me anything special.
He has moments. He's just not consistent.
Exactly, nothing special. But But yeah, so it's tough to break into a team. So players that he's bringing in, I'm sure he had that conversation, and then Conte is willing to take to take that hit. Okay, and then like you said, Zubimendi, what's going to happen to him? So we'll see. But yeah, it'll be interesting for the champions,
I'm
Premier League
interested to see
champions.
what this does for Declan Rice because he's already a great all around player. And now you're talking about you're going to open him up offensively to really be that box to box midfielder because you know
Hmm.
Bruno Guimaraes is going to sit back, or at least he's going to be responsible
I
enough to
think they'll
kind of
just have
cover
a
for
well.
him.
Look, Bruno kind of likes to go up too. I
But
know he sits back,
not as
um,
much though. I think Tonali did that more
but
for him at Newcastle. That's why I think that's why this may work for
well, that's
Declan
why
Rice.
Declan, same thing too. I think it'll be vice versa, where they need to learn how to play with each other. Be like, okay, who's going to go up this time? Who's going to sit back for the next 15 minutes? You're going to be the guy pressuring, and I'll sit back to cover, so that way you can recover. So this now, I'm sure they'll have that conversation to see between the two. Declan Rice is more prolific than Guimaraes. Um,
Does this make them the favorites then for the season now with these additions?
I mean, I don't see it.
Hard to say no,
It's
right?
hard to say no. I don't see. I mean, they're obviously the
I
defending
hate to
champions.
say no.
Yeah, I hate it, and I don't. I definitely don't want to hear Arsenal fans' opinions because they're in space.
No one
But
touches their players. Yeah.
no, exactly. But yeah, it's hard to see who can battle. City obviously showing right now that they are not prepared or they're not ready to start the season yet. So we'll see what happens come Friday or Saturday. I don't know what day they play, but um, yeah, they're easily the favorites. I don't see if Chelsea has turned things around. We got to see. And United still has had a great season, but they still have a lot to prove. We'll see if it was just beginner's luck, interim luck,
For Carrick,
or
yeah,
yeah, or if they're actually ready for it. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I think Arsenal are the favorites.
Alrighty, and we'll talk more to that here towards the end of the episode as we make our picks for the season. Now, next up, recent breaking news from as of like probably this morning, last night, whenever it happened in Europe. But Baleba is on the verge, or Baleba is on the verge of signing for Manchester United, reported by Orstein that there are talks and they're basically almost there. Interesting because he is injured, but I know there was a lot of talk around signing him last season, didn't happen. Obviously, United's made a couple of signings with Andre Santos and Tielemans. And this is another midfielder that we all kind of, all us United fans were saying that we needed. Obviously, also still need probably another left back and maybe another player. I think
Center
we need.
back.
I still think we need quite a bit more, not just what we've signed so far. And I'm
We
almost
need two,
hoping
yeah, easy 2 or 3 players.
there's hopefully more quiet signings coming that we haven't, that they're not being talked about. I see a lot of talk also about Ineos kind of just doing good work and not you know letting whatever their plans out get out. So I we're too close to the season. I mean, the season's right around the corner for us to not have more. I know we got Rashford back, whatever that means. Again, we've said we hope it goes well and he has another 30 goal season in him like he did before he signed that big contract before he left. Thoughts on the Baleba signing? And like we said, do we need more? Like what does this do for United with 4 tournaments also to play in this season?
Yeah, no, it's definitely an important signing. If they're going for him, sure. I would prefer Kamavinga or Chouameni. Um, but especially, if there's so much going on with everything, again, if Zubimendi goes to Madrid, that means one of those two probably would have to go, which I would love to have one of those players. I think they're still very young and they've proven a lot more than Baleba has. Um,
Yeah, they've had multiple seasons
yeah,
of well played
with playing
football,
exactly.
and Baliba's had one good season. He was injured most of last season, still injured
Mhm.
now. So that's a really good take, I think, because as we were talking about earlier, I'm surprised with the Valverde situation and Chouameni situation that. I mean, you mentioned Mourinho's the guy that can kind of fix all that, but like you said, Zubimendi potentially being on the outs, being a conversation, and Real Madrid missing on Rodri, which I don't think he was ever going there. I think there's a lot of things that can still happen before the window closes that could still because Camavinga to me is now that we're signing Baliba, Camavinga is more attractive because he can play that position and he can play left back because they've used him that way in Real Madrid. So at this point, Chouameni is great, But I think the best piece at this point, if we can get him, which would be weird because I don't think they want to let him go, is Kamavinga as opposed to Tchouaméni.
Yeah, I mean, either ways, I want to see what Baleba does. I want to see how he. I mean, if we're gonna go for him, sure. But if not, then I definitely want Kamavinga. We'll see how. But again, the price tag, is he worth it? Inflated? His price tag should have dropped from last season because of injuries and everything. Because they wanted an astronomical amount
Who,
for him, and
Baleba?
Baleba.
Yeah, they
So
wanted 120. Now they're
yeah,
only at 65.
exactly. So yeah, that's ridiculous. So that's a much better price, today and age. Um, but yeah, United still need two or three players. They need a center back. Licha gets hurt too much.
And yeah,
He's
and
great
Lenny
for us, but
Euro and Heaven are super young, so
yeah. And
obviously
then
a lot to learn
Shaw,
still.
Shaw's obviously proven season in, season out that
I
he's not
think,
gonna be
yeah.
fit 100%. He's great, but
Was it you that mentioned that he's almost better as a center back than as a
no, I
left
think it
back
was
at this
James.
point? Yeah,
James said
but
it, but yeah, he's right. I've seen it too. I love saying it too. I've seen him as a center back great because he reads the play. He's kind of like
and
Martinez, but he
he's
can go
still
forward.
fast enough where in that position it
Hmm.
works. But at the left back, when you're going up against the fastest wingers in the world every week, I think maybe he's finally gotten age wise. Obviously, Father Time, is beaten by no one, and he has some limitations now. He had a healthy season last season, and you hope he can go back to back. But yeah, I think that's one that we like definitely need a backup for, or at least a more consistent player.
Yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, we'll need a couple strengths. We'll see what happens. There's 11 days left, 12 days left in the transfer window. So about just under 2 weeks. We'll
Yeah.
see what happens with United.
Lewis Hall's the
Um,
big talking point, but supposedly they don't want to let him go because Newcastle's already bleeding from everywhere.
Yeah,
So
they're already, yeah, exactly. So, and onto that situation, Mourinho talked about Rodri actually, and he pretty much said that he spoke to him, and Rodri kind of said he was like having thoughts in about it, and where that's apparently as Mourinho's call. He said, if you're having second thoughts, then don't come here. If which that sounds pretty
sounds
true, pretty accurate.
yeah.
Sounds very Mourinho-esque, which is perfect. Which means, yeah, if you don't know if you want to come here, I don't need you. So, which is great, but yeah, we'll see that there's that. Madrid's going to be interesting for the Champions League. Barca are going to be interesting for the Champions League because
That
obviously picking
Rodri
up Pedri.
signing really confuses me as to where they're going with that because Gavi, Pedri, Dani Olmo, De
Maybe
Jong.
De Jong, maybe they're going to sell De Jong.
I
I mean,
don't.
I know Ferran, they're getting rid of Ferran because Ferran already
Well,
has
he's going to
agreed.
PSG.
Yeah, he's already agreed. So that's going to be funding for that. What they want to do, yeah, I
I
don't
saw
know.
that Gavi was either offered
To
to
United,
United or
supposedly, yeah.
United had interest in Gavi, but then Gavi's
Yeah,
like, nope. I was
yeah.
like, does that really surprise you? A kid from
Who
La
wants to
Masia
leave? But
wanting to
yeah,
leave Barcelona, like it just makes
yeah,
no sense.
no.
But a lot of interesting swirlings going around. I keep an eye out on Ornstein because he seems to be Ornstein
Oh,
because he seems to be really like coming out
well,
with really accurate.
Speaking of, have you seen the news with Fabrizio Romano?
That he's
It
going to
seems
retire
that
from.
no, it's not even that. It seems that a lot of clubs really,
Are
are like,
cutting them off. Like we don't
yeah,
want to deal with you.
because yeah, I read.
It's become a clown show, dude. Like
Well,
yeah,
it's not
it's
even
just
so much that. It's not so much the clown show, but it's more so that apparently he's leaking out little information that nobody should really know. That they want to really keep it tight, and then he's already releasing it as soon as he gets it. So apparently, a lot of teams or a lot of clubs or people that he speaks to are no longer answering his phone calls. So it seems like he's kind of, he kind of
he shut
got
himself
too
out.
comfortable. Yeah, he got too comfortable, and
Well, I think it's more that he is. It's not even comfortable. I think it's that he is a prisoner of his own success, and he wants to be the first to do it instead of
yeah,
just waiting until it's confirmed, or at least as close to confirmed as possible. Because that's the beef that he seemed to have with another um, reporter, another person that reports on signings or
yeah.
whatever,
I know he wants to be the guy.
because they had a beef going back and forth, which they kind of it's over now, but it was interesting. I did see that, and it sucks because I used to really look forward to his Here We Goes, and now it's just kind of
Yeah, and now it's just like,
it's,
oh,
it's
here
just
we go.
annoying. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to the toilet. Does that mean he's going to another team? Like, relax, bro. Like, it's yeah. So I follow him on social media right now, but I kind of like skip his stuff now just because it's just kind of like
It's
it's like
never
he
some.
every
It's
single
yeah.
thing is a
It's
here
like
we go. It's
it's
just
like
like
15 posts of nothing until we finally
yeah.
get the one thing. Yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting to see that a guy that's been that big in the transfer market announcements kind of now being
It
shut
was he
down.
was like our source of where we got the
Yeah, yeah.
information, what made the
hmm
off season exciting, and now he's
He's kind
kind
of
of
fall out
well.
big time.
That's
So
cool. I like Ornstein too. I think I'm saying his name right.
I don't even know who that is. I
Ornstein or
haven't seen it. I
Orstein.
gotta double check.
Yeah, he's the guy now. He's the Fabrizio Romano. Like he's no bullshit. Straight to business.
Yep.
He's like yeah. But we'll move on to the next team that's making big splashes and waves too. They've already made a bunch of signings, three, I believe, and now they're trying to take away from City Savinho and Marmouche. De Zerbi
Mm.
had mentioned that they still had a couple splashes to make in the transfer market, and if this does go through, that's a couple of big signings for a team that was really in the struggle bus last year, but needs the players because obviously Madison is super unreliable with how injured he is. You really can't count on Richarlison to give you 20 goals a season. He's such a interesting player. I think he should be more of a sub as opposed to a starter. But yeah, and they obviously kept Pedro Porro. They still have their main defensive starters, and they picked up Senesi, which was I think a huge signing for them. I think he's a really good. His market price on the fantasy Premier League went to 6, which is ridiculous for a defender. But obviously, he's a guy that gets a lot of fantasy points. But which tells you a lot about like the player he is and who they picked up. So thoughts on that, man? If they pull that off, Marmouche Savinho to add to that attack, which I think can really be strong because they'd be used more consistently than what City used to use them. What are you thinking there for
Who's
Tottenham for next season?
who's coaching them now?
De Zerbi, the guy that was on,
Oh, that's right.
he went from Brighton to I don't know some team in France and came back.
That's right. No, yeah,
He
it's a
saved them
very
from
interesting
relegation.
team. Yeah, it's a very interesting team. I know they have a lot of things that they pretty much.
I mean, they have Bergwall. They have a young, that young player. Obviously, like I said, Pedro Porro on the back. Vicario left, and they now have a new keeper. So that was interesting because he was really good for them prior to getting injured because he did get injured. So interesting there that he's gone, but they still have a good
They
keeper
also,
there.
yeah, it looks like they also want Cody Gapco actually.
I had
So
seen
yeah,
that, but there's not really been like I think that's just like interest, but not actually. I don't think nothing seemed to have
no,
happened.
nothing's concrete
But
yet.
that
You
would
know, with
I think for
11.
Gakpo that'd be a fantastic move because he's someone who needs to be the main guy, and I think if he goes to Tottenham, would be the main guy up top.
There's
Imagine
just a
him,
lot.
Savinho,
Yeah,
Marmouche there, like that would be ridiculous. But
yeah, absolutely.
a lot to
Savinho
happen.
Marmouche. Yeah, that would really put them into contention. I think at least into top five easily. I think they definitely need to make the moves. Um, and then yeah, they just
With him as with the Zerbi as a coach or the manager of that club, like what he did with Brighton when he was at Brighton, amazing. And imagine he didn't even have top of the line players. Obviously, some of them went on to become great players at other teams. And it's interesting a guy like that getting those kinds of signings for a team that struggled so much last season. That's a team that now is going to change people's predictions. I think going into this season.
yeah, Tottenham are in a good place. Obviously, they're in London, so they're right there. They're in a place that if players want to move, that's a place in England you want to go to. Nobody wants to go to Manchester. Manchester's not there's not much to do there as far as the outside football life. So a lot of these young players, that's where they want to go live in a nice place. So
I think they're trying
London,
to change that, but yes, you're right.
yeah, but as of
It's
now,
not the
yeah,
first destination for people when
yeah,
they think
yeah.
England. So for
No,
sure.
of course, and then naturally it's going to be all about football. So if you're going to go to Manchester, either Manchester, you're going to go because of the history of football. But you're not
The
going to go
red
for.
history of football, because there's no other
Yeah, but
history.
now obviously,
I mean, sure,
money
sure.
talks, and obviously City still has the players now and the caliber, so they're there. Yes, the history, yes, the recent history, yeah. But yeah, the London style. So in Tottenham, I've even seen that Pedro Neto has apparently emerged as a target if Savinho falls through. So Tottenham they're really pushing for it, and yeah, if they do their, again, we got a couple of days, less than 2 weeks to go to see what signings they pull off, and I think that's kind of going to let us know how dangerous they're going to be and how dangerous this league is going to get, because then you're giving us, you know, a good amount of players in the top six, top seven, top eight that are
10,
really going to,
10, 10 teams.
yeah,
It's
10
it's
easily.
really deep.
So that
Yeah.
are going to fight for Champions League. Obviously, that's the ultimate goal every season. So that's really going to make every team. I think those crucial games, those games are really going to be crucial. Those games that you need to pull points off instead of get the upset. So it's going to be, yeah, very interesting. Um, I guess I want to wait till the transfer window to really see what happens. Yeah, we can easily predict in a
Well, I
bit.
mean, we'll make predictions off of what we've seen
Yeah, early
now,
prediction until we
and
see transfers.
then we'll have
Uh,
another conversation. We could probably a few weeks out make another prediction
yeah,
based
two
on what
weeks
the
once
final.
the transfer window is closed and everything. But yeah, as of right now, Tottenham are looking like they actually want to make moves and they want to do something.
Daniel Levy
Um,
leaves, and all of a sudden they're
mhm.
splashing cash.
It
It's
just
weird,
sucks.
right?
I hate to see Sonny not have been a part of it because he deserves so much more.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah,
But
so Tottenham are gonna be interesting.
and
Chelsea is still gonna be interesting.
and I mean, this conversation leads us into the next team. You mentioned Gakpo potentially leaving Liverpool with
Liverpool.
the changes there. Xabi Alonso was it not
No,
Xabi
Xabi
Alonso?
Alonso is Chelsea. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Who came in for them?
Arn,
Fuck.
no,
No,
not Arne Slot,
no,
obviously.
he's gone.
It's another bald.
Why? Why can't I remember who they got?
I'll tell you right now.
Oh Jesus. Anyway, so but obviously Araujo coming in the back line since I believe their center back left. Also, did he go to Saudi League? Is that what the heck is his name? Wow, I'm blanking. I should have prepared better for that. So, but Araujo coming in and kind of looking for a redemption after Barcelona leaving there with his mental health he wanted to focus on. He's now lined up with Van Dijk. Which Araujo will we see with this back line and Van Dijk also kind of on the decline the last couple seasons, or at least it's seeming like
Iraola. Sorry.
Iraola. Oh yeah, Bournemouth.
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah, yeah.
So what does that do for that team, right? Because that's either gonna be boom or bust. You're gonna either great defensive pairing back there, or you're gonna see a lot of
So
bad play in that back line if that regression continues. Um,
it's interesting. I don't know why Araujo would come to this league because apparently he needed a mental break. Apart from just his injury, is more of mentally, I guess, the abuse and everything he was receiving. He needed some time off to recover. So I think the Premier League is a hundred times worse of a move to make because they're going to be very critical of you. They're going to be on you any mistake that you make. So
a little less, I think. I think the
not
criticism.
what?
Well, here's my take on it. The In the La Liga, he's a Spanish speaking player, so a lot of what he hears is a lot easier for him to ingest and like really affect him. Not saying that he doesn't speak English, but I think a lot of the noise that's going to come if he doesn't perform well in the Premier League, it'll be easier for him to kind of bounce off because it doesn't like when you hear it, it's not immediately going to like. Not saying that he's not going to know what's happening, but it's a little less like not so much the whistles because that's a big thing in La Liga, right? They do that a lot, and that's really it can really get to you, especially if you're playing poorly. But he does have a stronger partner in the defense
Oh
now
yeah, yeah.
that can protect him when he's not playing well. So not to say that the Premier League or the people around the English game aren't going to come at him like they do in La Liga, but I think that the language barrier is going to a little bit of almost like a protector for him. And then Van Dijk is also if he's having a good season can help mask any flaws that maybe he still has that he's working through. So that's the only reason why I
Yeah,
say that. But yeah,
that signing that was interesting to let Konate go and then pick up Araujo. I think Konate is a better player at the moment
well, he's
than
younger
Araujo is.
and
So
can handle it better. Yeah, I think so too.
so that's an interesting. I mean, obviously Konate went to Madrid, so for him is an upgrade. And I don't know, unless it was inevitable, that's an interesting move to let him go and not. But we'll see. Yeah,
But I mean,
Liverpool.
but they're getting a hell of a coach to come in and really look what he did with Bournemouth. You gotta give that dude his props. With a squad that's what Everton like, maybe a little bit better. He was what in the Europe. He almost made Champions League last season. So uh, they're getting a better coach than what they had. It feels like. I know. A lot of people wanted to give Arne Slot some props for winning the Premier League the season prior, but how much of that was him and how much of that just was with Klopp left? You know what I mean? There's obviously a lot of questions there. But another Liverpool can potentially have a bounce back season with this coach who has shown that he can figure out the Premier League. And with better players, or at least players of a higher caliber, what can that guy do? To challenge for the top four. So I think
Who was the player that you're
Gakpo leaving
saying
will impact them, of course, huh?
who left Liverpool? Who did you say that possibly went to the? Um,
Konate. Konate. I thought Konate went to the Saudi
oh
League, but he
no,
went to Real
no,
Madrid.
Konate went to Madrid. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was looking to see transfer, and it actually doesn't even show up. I don't know why, because obviously there's a big
but
gap.
I mean,
Yeah,
I will say that they've lacked more signings, but there's a lot going on also with them selling the club to Jeff Bezos now being a part of the ownership group. So, a lot. I think there's a lot of noise around that club. There's a potential that they could have a quietly good season because of the new manager coming in, but there's also the potential of
Salah
chaos.
also, remember, Salah's gone. He's a free agent.
But he,
That's a big. I
but
know
him,
he was.
his last no, but his last season, he didn't help him any. He hurt them more than he helped them. To be honest, I know he had some goals here and there, but a lot of times he faded. A lot of
Well,
times he wasn't.
Andrew Robertson's gone.
Yeah, but he was
Um,
also he got benched for Kirkes. Kirkes was the guy that's why they brought him in, because they kind of knew, they saw the writing on the wall. So my thing with them is I think they can have a potentially better season than what people expect them to have. But I'm surprised they haven't made more signings, especially if
yeah.
Gakpo's leaving. Interesting to see. I wonder if they push for a Trent comeback on a loan from Rao if he doesn't play for Rao. Should be interesting. That's obviously not haven't been that hasn't
I
been a
think
rumor, but
I think
I feel like they need more.
Mo likes his British players, obviously being over in the Premier League for so long. So I
He don't
think he's
like players that
gonna.
don't defend.
Yeah, but I think it's more of like he's gonna push them to see if that's exactly what they want to do. So
I could see a January Trent coming back to Liverpool situation for
mm,
sure,
well,
if he doesn't want to play for Mo. So,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean that interesting team for this season. And like we mentioned, the top 10 is gonna be a hell of a battle this year. So we're super interested to see where this plays out. One injury note, and I don't know if you have another one or another player you want to talk about signings, but Haji Wright out 12 weeks for Coventry, who was their main
Yeah.
man up top, scoring a lot of goals, 17 last year. 12 weeks he'll be sidelined for. I know they just signed a striker, so maybe they kind of saw the writing on the wall there, and we're getting prepared for that. But I know the Premier League is a different beast from the Championship, but a team like that coming up, losing a player that scored goals for them, will be very interesting for Coventry. Let's see if Lampard can figure that out and hopefully keep his team from getting relegated like they had before. So, um, shout out to Haji Rai. Hopefully you get well soon, man. I know for
Yeah,
the
speedy
national team
recovery.
picture, it looks it's going to be rough for you for a bit, especially with that early window for Poach to get some views on players. He didn't get playing time during the World Cup, and now we probably see why. He was
Well,
not
on the
fully
plus side,
fit.
it seems like it was his quad, so that's not a a dangerous per se injury.
Yeah, it's
That's
not a
something
hamstring or
recoverable. Yeah.
Achilles that they really keep you out for a long time. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
And
yeah,
that, um, I don't really see anybody. I mean, Liverpool still has 5 players that are injured,
oh, I do
including
want to.
Ekitike.
I do. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Liverpool has. That's what I'm saying. Liverpool has the ability to have a way better season than what people think they will. Because with Isak, Ekitike up top, um, obviously Gakpo may leave, but
One thing with Tottenham that we definitely, I mean, we already touched about it, but one of their biggest setbacks is going to be Xavi Simons out till next year.
But
That
I think
ACL.
that's why the signings that he's making,
Yeah,
if he gets these to come to fruition, Tottenham is looking a hell of a dangerous team come
yeah.
the season. So
Was it Kulusevski? He's also
Kulusevski,
I'm not sure how long he's
I
out
don't. I
for.
feel like he's going to
So
be out another 6 months. To be honest, it feels like
and then
he's
Kudus is
yeah.
also hurt too. So so for
But that
Tottenham, I mean,
but
those are
what that does
three
for
big
them,
players.
yeah. But what that does for them is that if they come back midway through the season, they kind of refresh, and then there's like that whole
Yeah,
thing too. So
yeah, but
it's kind of
those
like
are big
it's kind of like
players.
yeah, it's kind of like a little bit. It sucks for them early on, but if they do get these players to come on board early in the season, they may have that gap that they're covered with, and then they'll have a deeper squad come the busy time of the season. So that's kind of where they're
Yeah,
at. It
we'll
seems like
see.
they're at.
Yeah.
I do want to just quickly Jamal Musiala back to back having moments of where he fainted in
Oh, I
games.
saw that. Yeah, yeah.
I feel 24-year-old kid, like you don't want to see that. He did say that it's a nerve issue that he's having. I saw some people like giving the doctors of that team like a hard time. I don't know that that's something that anyone could predict. You would hope that they can, and if they couldn't, I just I feel bad for the player. I feel bad for the doctors because if the doctors aren't
Yeah,
seeing it, it's
I
kind
don't
of
blame
one
the
of those
doc.
like I don't want
I don't
to.
blame the doctors at all. I know they go through
It's just a
extensive.
shitty experience for that
Well,
kid.
I know they go through extensive, training, tests, and everything. It's not like they just throw him on. He's good to go. No, not at all anymore. They definitely put him through a bunch of tests, and I know that they're not going to be like, oh, let's just push him, especially in the preseason. It doesn't make any sense. So for anybody giving shit to the doctors, is like, just fuck you, man, because I know that those guys aren't trying to put him out there and be like, screw it if he die, if something happens, right?
Yeah, it does
So
nothing for them to put a player out there
no,
and cause him to get
and I'm
injured or
pretty sure
whatever. So
Musiala himself isn't going to put himself out there if he wasn't cleared. And it's like, all right, hey, you should be fine. We ran every test and we don't see anything spiking or any type of things. And those European doctors are really, really good. So I'm pretty sure if they would have seen it, they would have caught it. So, yeah, just I hope he recovers, and I hope whatever he's going through he doesn't,
I hope he
that he
gets this
recovers
sorted
from.
out and he can keep playing because you don't want
Yeah,
to see a
he's a
talent
quality
like that
kid.
lose
Yeah,
lose his
I mean, just
career
any
so
player,
soon.
any player,
Yeah.
for sure. So yeah, hopefully, he can recover.
Alrighty. So moving on from that, predictions for the season. Where we can just go top four. We don't got to go crazy because I don't really care so much about
Yeah,
Europa and Conference League. So what do you have as top four for this season based on what we're seeing at this moment in
yeah.
time?
At this moment, I have Arsenal winning. Again, I don't see right now who can compete. I still want to see a lot from a few teams. I have Arsenal up there. I have United. I think it can easily make top three if they continue form from last season with new players coming in. Um, again, Champions League adding more tournaments. We'll see what the rotation's like. But I see United being in the top four. I think Chelsea finally makes a bounce back, comeback, and actually gets up there,
With
especially with a few
Xavi
of the signings.
Alonso, and I
Yeah,
mean with
Xabi
Xavi
Alonso.
Alonso, I think.
Yeah, and a few of the signings.
I mean, they did
Oof.
sign two dinosaurs, so that'll be interesting to see how
Yeah,
that plays
but
out.
that's experience, and so.
They
And
went from
fourth,
cradle robbing to robbing the senior citizens
the
and
grave. Yeah. Um, Oof, top four. Yeah, again, because we got to see what Liverpool, Tottenham, and City. I'm gonna go with Aston Villa.
damn, he named all of them and said that. No, that's not a bad shout. I mean, I think it's hard at the moment to really predict uh, where teams are going to land. I do agree with you. Arsenal definitely probably winning the league, or has the best chance of winning the league. So, and
Mm,
I have to swallow my pride this year and say that that's probably the case.
with the rotation, yeah,
I
just
think, man,
it's tough.
uh, I'm going. I said I think Liverpool is going to be a surprise this season and going to be in the top four, based on what we're seeing so far. I also am going to put Tottenham in the top four, and I. It's hard for me to not say United, but I think Villa is rounds out the top four. I think
Yeah,
United hasn't made enough signings with the amount of games they're about to play. And this obviously can change in the next couple of weeks if something else happens. But to me, the ones that have done the most work in the offseason, I think is going to see dividends pay. And I think we're going to see Arsenal, Liverpool, Tottenham, Villa as top four. I think Chelsea's going to be right there. City might have a bit more of a drop off. I don't think what we saw in the Community Shield is like a flash in the pan. I think that there's too much going on at one time. Players are leaving. Foden has another bad season. Rodi left. Like you've kind of, Bernardo Silva left. No more Kevin De Bruyne. Obviously, he wasn't there last season, but it's a whole different complement of players now that you're relying on to be the same successful City. Haaland's going to get you goals. The problem is going to be how consistent he's going to be. And then for United, as I mentioned, I hate to say that they won't be top four, but Baliba to me is an injured player who's not going to start the season. I know we had a good run at the end of the season, but we weren't playing all the games that they'll be playing this season. And without another left back, I just don't see us being defensively good enough still to compete. If we can score goals like crazy and not just outscore other teams, sure, but we have to beat the crap out of every team that's bottom half of the table every single game so that they can be up in contention for top four.
Yeah, for sure.
If that's not the case, they're not top four. Villa has been way more consistent. Tottenham, I think, can have a crazy bounce back season if all those players that are being mentioned wind up in that squad, especially with that coach. Liverpool, I think, has the players now and the coach to get them back to top four. They were close. I mean, they were 5-6 last season, so it's not
with
like
all
they're
the
far
injuries
off.
they had. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, and then obviously Arsenal is the best team in the league. So it shouldn't be. Honestly, I don't think it's that controversial. Maybe that's my hot take that Tottenham makes top four this season. But I don't. To me, what United did at the end of the last season was only because they weren't playing as many games, and that's the thing. Tottenham is not in Champions League this year. They're not even in European football this year, so they're the United of this season.
Yeah.
Their only focus is the season. Obviously, they got the Carabao and the FA Cup, but those are games that they always send out second and third string players. It's not always the full team. Their full focus will be top four, and they're going to have the path that United had last season to get into top four. So that's where I'm at with that prediction.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, it's obviously with everything going on, it's you can literally throw anybody in there. Freaking, Leeds.
United are one Bruno Fernandes injury away from not being enough. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, for sure, no, exactly.
And that's a guy that plays every game of the season. So
yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's a good prediction. Obviously, we have it here, and then once the transfer window goes, we can update, and then from there,
yeah, we'll make a final prediction once the season
pre-transfer window, and then
the deadline closes. Then, we'll be more aware of what's coming, but I do as lastly, and I've been sharing it on social media as much every day as I can. If you guys are listening, if you guys are subscribed or like what we have to say, and you want to be a part of what we're doing, and you see where we're at, right? So you can see that, we're not just talking shit. Like we know something here and there about the game, but definitely come join us just for the fun of it. Our fantasy league, the World's Beautiful Game Pod League, is open to anyone that wants to join. If you have the app, all you have to do is enter code OZRXRS. Again, code OZRXRS. And you'll be able to join our league. It's free. There's nothing to do. If you're already part of it, just add another league that you can be a part of. And, hopefully you have bragging rights and be like, hey, I'm better than you guys. And then, just let us know. We'll be more than glad to talk to each week of what the results are, where we're at. We get excited to do this every week. We've done it with our friends now for 10 plus years. It's always a fun time. But we appreciate everyone that listens. We definitely will be watching as many games as we can this season, as we always do. Sharing with you guys, talking with everything that's happening. Obviously, the transfer window is closing, so there's going to be a lot more to talk about than just games. And then as the international windows comes, we'll continue on that as well, as we're always going to cover the U.S. whenever we can. But thank you, everyone, for listening. happy EPL season as it is ready to kick off. Will, do you have any final words before we close out for this episode of the pod?
No, just yeah. Let's see. I'm excited to see the season start. I'll be going to USA vs Peru game here in Orlando
Awesome.
next month. I'm excited to see that, just to see kind of what the US holds. But naturally, just the clubs. I want to see naturally the Champions League. It'll be good.
And we will be covering that as well. We cover as much as we can from the game. Obviously, we do focus highly on the Premier League in the US, but we always talk the big games. Yeah. We always talk the big tournaments. The exciting stuff we bring into the podcast, and even some of the stuff that's just different, right? That maybe you don't.
Hopefully, there's a new exciting team in the Champions League. That comes out of nowhere.
Bodo Glimt is the Grimsby town of the Champions League, right? So, looking forward to seeing if that club can come back and do the same. So, obviously, the tournament for the Champions League was expanded also last season.
We'll see if Wrexham makes it to the top.
Yeah, we'll see if Rob McElhaney and Deadpool can get us that team to the Premier League next season. They seem to be gearing up again for another good season. So even the Champions League is going to be a good follow for us because Americans are there playing and doing their thing. So Middlesbrough, I'll probably be following just to see where they're.
We'll for sure shout out definitely different leagues with the Americans. Busio, obviously in Italy.
Captain in the Serie A for 24-year-old
Juventus.
Yep, of course.
That's it. I don't want to talk about any other player in Italy.
And Mateus Albright playing in Dortmund, 16-year-old American, obviously. Noah Kai Banks will probably make his appearance for the U.S. national team because they keep begging him to play for him. We'll see what happens there. Yeah. But like I said, thank you guys. If you guys listen and follow, like us, share us. I'm trying to be constantly posting for you guys, so we'll continue doing that. But have a good one. Happy Premier League season. Happy European season. Starts of the season. We'll see if we can sprinkle in some MLS if we can get some good highlights there. But
maybe Libertadores if there's any good, exciting Libertadores.
Correct. That's
South America does play some magic. So and those players eventually make it to Europe. But,
Alrighty, folks. Thank you for listening. Have a good one, and see you next week.
See you guys.
Powered by Riverside.